In Bonnie and Clyde, the genders are not only equal, but the female is even dominant. In the beginning, Bonnie is locked in a boring, unattractive world, symbolized by the bad beams as prison bars. Clyde becomes the key to the new world, which is why Bonnie is so drawn to it.
Wait there!
For example, in the beginning, Clyde asks Bonnie to change her hairstyle, simply because he does not like the old one, and Bonnie changes it without asking questions. Clyde takes out the gun, then lowers it to his crotch, giving the gun obvious phallic symbolism. He wants to show off his power as a stereotypical male character in film, which is especially clear when he tries to prove to Bonnie that he is a robber, when she challenges him, asking if he can use it.
But you wouldn't have the gumption to use it.
The fact that Clyde gives Bonnie his gun for shooting practice at a tire behind the farmhouse symbolically betrays his masculinity to her, thereby, again, causing a change in gender roles. At these moments, the difference in genders disappears, and Bonnie is no longer a weak girl attached to Clyde. Bonnie herself is a feminist icon in the film. When Clyde takes a photo of her holding a gun and a cigarette in her hands, she is represented as a dominant woman, becoming the strongest version of herself. Blanche, on the contrary, is the opposite representation of the female gender. Bonnie, as the film's liberated woman, naturally loses patience with Blanche and her traditional femininity.
Damn it! You almost got us killed!
As unpleasant as it is to watch Bonnie insult Blanche, her demanding the other woman to toughen up is necessary for the sake of sexual equality. Therefore, Bonnie and Clyde depicts female dominance over traditional, stereotypical image of a female character, making the film very new for its age. The male characters increasingly demonstrate their competence. For example, before the robbery of a bank that went bankrupt after the Great Depression, Clyde tells Bonnie not to worry even though he himself is clearly worried, which can be seen through the elements of performance. Clyde's hands are trembling when he holds a gun, and he was blinking rapidly in the car, right before entering the bank. When Clyde finds out that there is no money in the bank, Bonnie laughs at his ridiculous failure. Clyde fires several bullets through the window to somehow compensate for his embarrassment, still trying to show his power using the gun. Later, Moss demonstrates his incompetence by parking their getaway car in a place where Bonnie and Clyde cannot find it. The shortcomings of both men again demonstrate the myth of male superiority, showing that Bonnie is their equal. The working class and criminals in Bonnie and Clyde are represented in a positive way. This is first shown when the duo encounters a farmer's family who are being forced off their land by the bank that has confiscated their home. The scene where the men shoot up the house is very important, as it shows that there is more resentment in America towards the financial authorities than just the bank robbers. On the other hand, the police in the film is represented in a negative, antagonistic way. In the moment when the Barry gang has been surrounded, we see Buck Barry trying to escape before lifelessly falling. He was also shot by the police earlier in the film, and when he died because of the injury, none of the authorities helped him. The long-duration shot and the zoom-in on his twitching hand really emphasizes on the graphic aspects of his death, making the viewer sympathize with the Barry gang more than the authorities. Additionally, in the aftermath, when Buck has been killed and both Bonnie and Clyde have been shot, they are held by nomads who have also been forced out of their homes. This shows how people are willing to unite against the authorities, even with criminals. After all, Clyde would not have started stealing if there was another way to make money as easily. Rick represents tough and cynical masculinity. At the start of the film, he is portrayed as an unemotional, at times cold character.
Help, I'd stick my neck out for nobody.
Conforming to stereotypical representation of man in film. Rick appears isolated, playing chess with himself, and not very interested in interfering and initiating conversations. He is introduced as an overall mysterious character. We hear information about him from other characters in the cafe, which intensifies the curiosity and anticipation for the audience. The fact that we only see his hand signing the letters in the frame before his face creates an impression of authority, putting emphasis on his actions before emotions, or a deeper view of his identity. However, this is challenged later in the film when Ilse is introduced, and it soon becomes obvious that their shared past is Rick's vulnerability. In the scene when Nick asks Sam to play As Time Goes By, Rick is in the focus of the frame. The scene starts off at a wide shot of the bar, Rick appearing to be visually lost in the darkness of the bar in the night. In 3 push-ins, the viewer gets a closer look on his face. The camera angle changes for one medium close-up shot of Rick's face. The chiaroscuro lighting outlining the emotions of his face, teary eyes implying the hurt he feels from remembering Paris with Ilsa. This portrayal of vulnerability contrasts with the impression that the viewer would initially get from Rick, which adds dimension to his character through elements of non-stereotypical representation of male lead character. Although Ilsa appears to be a stereotypical female lead, which can be seen through feminine costume, the long skirt and blouse, and performance, straight posture and elegant gait, there are elements of enigma and uncertainty about her character. This can be seen from the moment she enters the bar with Victor, at first pretending not to recognize Sam, walking past him, and later approaching him. She could also be interpreted as inconsiderate when she asks Sam to play as time goes by, knowing Rick may appear any moment. Although the memories the song brought hurt her too, Ilsa did not take Rick's feelings to thought upon her request, showing that she did not care how he would react if he heard the melody. On the other hand, the close-up on her face clearly shows tears in her eyes, implying that she is still not over the past they shared in Paris. This is portrayal of vulnerability and emotions, which is stereotypical in representation of female characters in film. Ilsa is also represented as a woman with strong will. When she came to Rick to ask for the letters, upon her refusal, she pulled a gun on him. The gun is a phallic symbolism, showing her dominance over Rick for a brief moment in this scene. Although this is an unconventional representation, a second later she was challenged by Rick as he increased the proximity and uncovered Ilsa's bluff, knowing she would not shoot him. In contrast to this moment, Ilsa presents herself as a vulnerable, stereotypical female character, explicitly giving Rick power when she tells him,
I don't know what's right any longer. You have to think for both of us.
putting trust in Rick to act and decide for her. Overall, Ilsa is a stereotypical portrayal of a female character, however with some unconventional elements which make her more dynamic and complex. The representation of class in Casablanca is quite different than in Bonnie and Clyde. In the film, we mainly see representatives from upper middle class, as during the World War II, not many could afford leaving their countries and passing through Morocco in hopes to flee to America. The mise-en-scène creates a visual implication of respected people, the jewelry and accessories reflecting their ability to afford such attire. Additionally, this would clearly show status, implying that the characters, such as Rick or Laszlo, are strong figures with power. The representation of close relation to police further suggests that Rick is a notable figure if he is personally acquainted with Renault, showing that he has enough connections and power to obtain official documents like visas, helping people leave the country.